During our visit to Jordan, we visited Petra, which is one of the new 7 wonders of the world and an archaeological park. We flew from Hong Kong via Doha, where we spent the night in a transit hotel, and arrived in Jordan the next day. 2 nights in Amman, and then it was off to Petra. We took the Dead Sea route, which is 400 meters below sea level, and you can see the salt at the bottom of the rocks in this photo. The area was mountainous, and we finally climbed back up the 400 meters, as you can see, and it was still a very rocky, desolate area. The road was narrow and steep in some places, and Joseph liked to drive with one hand on the wheel. Joseph was our driver, and we finally arrived at Petra, which is about 300 kilometers from Amman. We settle into the Movenpick Hotel, meet our guide for the next day, who explains what's going to happen at 7 a.m. and passing Jeff's bookshop, off we set. Because of Linda's bad ankle, we were allowed to use a golf cart, usually reserved for the royal family. Petra emerged as a major city under the Nabateans in around 312 BC, and was an area where major trading routes crossed. The route into the sea and through it was rocky and sandy, and there you see a major water tunnel came from a dam they built. On either side of the canyon you can see water culverts which took the water down to where people were living. The Sikh is breathtaking and is a mile-long canyon that twists and turns through towering rock faces which change in color depending on where the sun is, and it is just beautiful. Along this part of the wall, camel drivers carved camels into the rocks, and you can just make out the feet of a camel in that one.
We get to explain to you about. And their business language, it used to be ancient Greek. We get to explain to you about the station from the inscription which left under the night there. There is a few inscriptions, that's ancient Greek inscription. Yeah. Let him enjoy it. He's not. Now, Petra, the famous monument, the one you see on TV, I think you heard of this name as a treasury.
The treasury is the pièce de résistance, and you see it first through this narrow cleft in the road. And then it opens out into a square, and in front of you is this magnificent building carved into the rock.
The huge crack was made of the earthquake, and in 3 chapters it goes deep between 5 to 8 meters. So it used to be only a temple. At the left side and on the right side there is 2 caves, we call them a triclinium, and they used them for washing the dead body to be ready for burial. Now 2 nights here, man, between the columns.
Although it was built as a temple, underneath there were some rooms that held treasure, which is why it was called the treasury. We continue our journey down what is described as the Street of Facades. As you can see, some magnificent buildings built into the rock. On the other side of the street was the theatre, built by the Nabateans, but in fact copied from the Romans. Next, it's the tombs, which were used as housing until the 80s when the government moved them all out. It then became a tourist attraction, and we stopped at a coffee shop for a coffee, and the golf cart would go no further, so we had to meet our mules. Mule riding is not that comfortable, and you hold on to a bar in front to prevent falling off. Linda went on the mule down to the village, and I followed on foot as it was level at that point. Then it was on our way past some further carvings in the rock, up the 800 steps to the monastery on the mule, which was the most scary thing I think I have ever done. The path up was steep, up steps and up rocks, and although I had every confidence in the mule, there were big drops on some sides, 2,000 feet maybe. The picture does not do justice to the path. I was too scared to take my camera out of my pocket on the way up. Here we are, back down again. And our muleteer, who was very nice, took some photographs just to record the time and also helped hold Linda in place. Back at the hotel, it was time for a cool off, a swim and a beer, although it was Ramadan and the restaurant refused to serve one. Next morning, it was on the way back to the Dead Sea, Amman, and on the desert highway, which was more comfortable. We had to stop at one point so that our driver could go to the mosque. Ah, wonderful experience, ...